Page 20, think of me. I'm going to start with the right hand. It's the last measure of the first line. The right hand, you have a whole note B and an eighth note D. Make sure you hold that whole note out the whole measure. Now you get these whole notes, or the bottom note where the bottom note is held. Be sure and hold that out as full value. Don't cheat it. Even though the pedal might be down, doesn't matter. You still do it with the finger. Then the last note in that measure is with the third finger. Because that gets you ready for the next one. Now, in measure 5, I recommend you play the third C, the third beat with the thumb. So it's here. You're going to hold the half note down and then just come up here. That puts you in position for the chord, and I recommend that the chord is a 2-4-5, not 2-3-5. And then for the measure 6, that chord is a 1-2-4. It's a bit of a stretch, but that's the melody. The pedal will help you out a little bit, but fingering wise, it's still good to do what you can to connect the melody. This fingering, these things I just pointed out, happen elsewhere. I don't want to point them out every time, but you'll see them when you get there, I'm sure. I hope you do. Measure 13, that's a good fingering. I like that. You're up here. Now here you're relying on the pedal to connect it. And then the last one is 1-2-4. So we connect the melody with the fingers, even though the pedal's to helping. No, that's not enough. Do it with the fingers. Measure 17. Starting here. I recommend on the next one it is a 1-4, then a 1-5, and then a 2-3, and then 1-4. Now it's a bit awkward going from measure 19 to 20. You're down here. Then on the eighth notes, it's a 2, 1, 2, 4, 5, and then you're crossing over the fifth to get to the 1-3. Do the best you can with it. It's awkward. Measure 35, top of page 22. It's the last measure of the first line. You're here. And then I recommend for the E, C sharp, use 1-4. So you can connect the C sharp to the D in the next measure. Now in measure 36, I'll leave it up to you. You can play the eighth note F with the second finger and the thumb on the G. Or you can play it with the thumb. So you're coming off of the thumb here. My tendency is to play it with the second finger. Then if I do it with the second finger, then on measure 37, I want the first E with the thumb, and then I can go to the second finger. Measure 39. Work out the rhythm carefully because you have triplets in there. So we have on the first beat 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Now if you can play the D major scale, at least 2 octaves, you know, the intermediate level that in my video I talk about, this little run is not a problem. That's just a D major scale. If you can't play the D major scale, you ought to work this out very carefully. Just make sure the triplets, 3 and 4 and measure 43. Look at the fingering there. It works. Just use the fingering they're showing you. At the bottom of page 23, on measure 59, you're here. Then for the E, C sharp, I recommend a 1-4. And then in the next measure, the F sharp D, I recommend a 2-5. Make sure you're holding the notes down to the full value. In the left hand, that's really about the trickiest part. It's like at the top of page 21, the last 2 measures. You're here. You drop down to the dotted half note C. Hold that out as long as you can. knowing that you got to come up here. So you have to work out those hand movements. Now the pedal will help you out a little bit, but don't just hit the C and then let the pedal do it all. Try and hang on to it as long as you can before you come up. Measure 29. Be careful there because that is a B, F sharp, A sharp. Sounds funny, but that's what it is. Measure 37 on page 22. Again, careful, that is a D, A, C sharp. Because we got two sharps in the key signature here. One of them's a C. Measure 42. Fingering wise, you're starting with a G. And for the first chord, I recommend a 5-3-2. And then a 3-2-1 on the last one. The idea is you're fingering this chord. And we're trying not to move the hands anymore, and we have to. So what people will typically do is they will finger it here. And the first one, like they're showing, move the hand again to come up to the last one. It's unnecessary, and it's really, frankly, I think a bad habit. So if you can, finger it in such a way you don't have to move the hand around. So we go here, then here, and here. I'm not moving the hand. That's all one hand position. So I recommend that. Then finally, the very last note at the bottom of page 23, that has an 8 VA under it. So that D is going to be played here. I'm going to hold it 8 counts because of the fermata. Won't that be fun? Now, as far as the pedal goes, I don't want to go through and re-edit this whole thing, but I will point out a few minor little things that I would recommend. They're overlapping everything. They're just mushing it all together and have fun with it. Okay, fine, if that's what you want to do. However, on measure 6, I recommend you lift the pedal up on beat 4 and leave it up until the next measure. So we're here. And then drop it in there. On measure 10, same thing. Here, I would lift the pedal up on beat 4, which is when you lift the right hand, because the right hand has a rest. And then you can lift it after, or you can push it down after you play the notes in the next measure. On measure 14, I like a break between the phrases, so I would pedal accordingly. In fact, I don't think I would pedal the last 2 beats at all. Just let the fingers do it. So you're here, and then before I play beat 3, I'm going to lift the pedal so I get a break in the sound in the right hand. I'm going to lift, keep it up until the next measure. When you get to the top of page 21, the last 2 measures, I would go ahead and legato pedal this whole thing. I wouldn't separate any phrasing or nothing. It all kinds of runs together very nicely. So you're here. You're changing the pedal, but you're holding the left hand down. And then at the top, it's fine. Legato pedal, that's fine. At the bottom of the page, on page 21, again, I'd lift the pedal up before you play beat 3 in the right hand. You're going to hold the left hand down all the way. Just lift the pedal up before you play that, so it's like this. And leave the pedal up until the next measure. I'll measure 39, and here it's up to you. You experiment and see what you think. They mark it this way. I find that mushy. I don't care for it, but maybe it's okay with you. So there's a couple of alternatives you can do here. One is you can leave the pedal up for the last 2 counts when you're playing all those 8th notes. So it's this way. 1. If that's a little too dry for you because the pedal up, you don't have all those overtones working for you, then I would recommend pedaling it on beat 3 and beat 4. Change the pedal, legato pedal it, but change it on beat 4, so it's here. So you're not not mushing all of them up, you're just mushing a few, and that can work too. You decide what you like best. On measure 43, again, I give you a choice. Because the fingering is a little awkward, you kind of need the pedal's help at least, but I don't know that you really need to blur all those eighth notes together. So they're saying this way, here. To me, that's blurry. It's up to you. What you can do is lift the pedal on the third beat. Now you're going to hold the left hand down, right, because it's a dotted half note. Lift the pedal on the third beat and then put it down right after the fourth beat starts. It's here. Basically, I'm putting it down with the last eighth note in it. And I'm still changing the pedal at the beginning of the next measure, so here. I'm using the pedal to carry the sound so I can move my hands, is what I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. It's the only reason I'm doing it. Because I have to go from here to here. And I want them connected. Even though it says a slightly different phrase, when you have eighth notes leading into something, we tend to connect them to what they're leading into. I don't want to have an eighth note leading me into something and then break it off and start again. It kind of flows, so it's got to be connected. So my preference is to lift the pedal on the third beat and put it down on the last eighth note, and then of course change it on the next measure. I'm putting it down only so I can move my hands without losing the sound, is all I'm doing. You decide what you like and what you want to do. Top of page 23, measure 47. Like to hear a break in the phrases in the right hand, so I lift the pedal accordingly. In fact, I don't need the pedal at all in beats 3 and 4, so it's here. It works fine for me. Measure 55, same thing. I want to break in the phrases. Now you can put the pedal down if you want, or just leave it up until you get to the next measure. So you don't need it for the last two beats. Or in this case it actually is okay if you want to put it, because the G sharp hangs on and that kind of helps too. You decide what you like, the sound wise, what you like better. The last line you're pedaling quite a bit, but you can deal with that. I want to show you one little technique you can use at the end of pieces like this. It's kind of interesting if you're playing a piano that's in reasonably good shape. At the end you have this whole note with a fermata. That means, and it ends softly. So you basically you're just going to hold it out for effect. What happens is we hold it out here, and then when we're tired of it we just stop the sound. And that kind of kills it, okay? I mean, you have this real pretty sound, and all of a sudden it just stops. It's like, what happened? So what I would recommend you do if you can, and you have to experiment, is you lift the pedal up very slowly, and the hands up very slowly, and the dampers come down on the strings very slowly, and they slowly kill the sound. It doesn't just abruptly end. Now, if your piano isn't in pretty decent shape, it'll buzz, or it won't work. But it's worth experimenting with on these pieces like this. There are no repeats or anything in this. This just goes straight through. You're going to bring out the melody, try to bring out the phrasing as best you can, hold the notes down to their full value, take it really, really slow, one hand at a time until you get it. Don't be in a hurry on this. Rhythm-wise, if you're doing your 1 and 2 and 3 and, you can work out this rhythm. And again, with the ties, just take them out temporarily until you get the rhythm, and then you can put the tie back in. We're going to play at 20 and 21, and then we're going to stop. We're going to turn the page, and then we're going to play pages 22 and 23 slowly. So let's try it out and see what happens. You're starting out down here. remember, in the left hand, hold that dotted half note out as full value. Hold all the notes out their full value, all right? Just because the pedal's down doesn't mean you can lift it up, because, no, bad habit. The right hand's here, and foot's on the pedal. All right, I'll give us 4 counts. Let's try this. 1, 2, ready, and go, and 8. Put your hands where they go. Here. Foot's on the pedal. 1, 2, ready, and go. And. Off.